Hey, plant people, I have a question for you. What agave shares its common name with a sea animal? It's a relatively short-living agave. It only lives about 5 to 7 years. Um, it's a relatively large, maybe medium-sized agave. Its leaves are tentacle-like. Ring a bell? Well, there's a couple behind me, so let's talk about those next. Hey agave lovers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lucas and today we are talking about the agave vilmoriniana, or commonly known as the octopus agave. Well, there's another agave with a sea creature name, and that's the squid agave, but those are typically on the small side. I don't know a lot about those. I don't have any in my collection. I've always wanted one, especially the variegated ones. They're quite pretty, but today we are talking about these, the octopus agave. So I have a few in the yard. Actually, I think I have four. I have four non-variegated and one variegated one in the yard. We have one here. This is its mature size, and it's not going to get a whole lot bigger. And I expect it to actually flower within the next couple of years, so anytime now. And we've got another one back over here that's the same size. Same age. They've been out here doing quite well in the backyard here, with kind of the other soft succulents and with some of the citrus trees behind me. And today we're actually not talking about either one of these two. We are talking about one that is outside the fence. And today we are going to remove that. And I've got a spot actually back behind me here, the Hollywood juniper, kind of right next to that. So where the Hollywood juniper is right now, I've got some landscape fabric. And I had that landscape fabric because that was actually a place that I used to put a lot of my my overflow from my greenhouses. So I would put the pots kind of right on the landscape fabric. But since then, we are moving a lot of those extra agaves out. My wife, my in-laws have some property in Hayward. And a lot of the agaves that I have extra here in the yard, a lot of the pups from the Americana and the variegated ones as well, we're going to kind of move to that property to kind of spice it up with some curb appeal. And so I wanted to clear that space out. And now that I have that space out, I have room for a couple of other succulents. And I decided to go with a couple more octopus agave. Now, I love these for backyards. One reason is that they kind of look like air plants. They're quite nice, and they look really well with the other succulents and aloes that I have back here. And they don't have sharp teeth, so that's great if you have kids running around like I do and pets. They do have some long terminal spines here, quite sharp. And I just go ahead and just cut those off. And I do that just so no one loses an eye or gets poked. So yeah, the reason why I am moving the one that's in the front yard, actually I have two that need to come out. The one that we'll be doing today is kind of underneath the Americana. I've talked about it in the past. That huge Americana is kind of pushing out a lot of the agaves, the nice stuff I had around it. And the next one I need to take out now is the octopus agave. It's just really crowded right now, and it doesn't quite look good. So I'll probably replace it maybe with some other smaller agaves or cactus or something like that. It's been pretty hot lately, so we are just at the end of March moving into April here. And the last week we were in the upper 80s, and that's pretty hot for this time of the year. But now we're down into the low 60s again, and we're expecting a lot of rain tonight and tomorrow. So I kind of want to do kind of my last stuff to the yard, moving things around just before that rain comes, and especially before the heat starts to set in. I've kind of done as much as I can do now because it's going to start getting hot. And there's very few agaves that I can move around. And I just had a look at the variegated, actually the striated agave perii truncata that we planted in an earlier episode is not doing so well. It's getting actually a lot more sun than I thought. I thought that where I planted it, it was going to get kind of an abundance of shade from the little shrub that's above it, but unfortunately it's not. So the Moon Lagoon does a really good job of filtering light, but the agave is just kind of tucked out a little too far. So since we do have some hot weather coming up, I wanted to make this move with the agave, the Octopus Agave, and also probably off camera, I'm going to maybe pull that Perii truncata out, maybe put it back in the greenhouse again, because it's not doing so well, and we haven't even hit the hot temperatures yet. So I have a feeling that it's not going to last too long this summer. So first thing I need to do is pull out that agave, and we'll get started on that. Okay, here we are, the Octopus Agave. And look at this, we have a beautiful cactus bloom. I'm so happy to see that. Really glad that I was able to see that, because they don't stick around that long. So if you're not out here often, sometimes you might miss it. So I'm glad I decided to come out here and do this today and see that beautiful bloom. We have some California poppies here. We didn't get a whole lot of rain this winter, unfortunately, especially January, one of our driest Januaries ever. Probably has a lot to do with why we don't have a lot of wildflowers and poppies this year. We've had a ton in years past, so a little sad to not see as many this year, but we'll see it happens next year, and over all the precipitation over the summer or lack thereof. So yeah, as you can see, it's getting crowded by the agave Americana, and this is kind of a pretty typical theme here in the front yard. I've had a lot of agaves that I've had to move. Most of it's been not when I was filming my YouTube channel, years past. So I just measured it, and it is 12 feet wide and 9 feet tall. So there's not a lot of room for a lot of stuff in here. So I'm going to pull out the Octopus Agave just because it's so crowded by this this big agave. I don't have to do a whole lot of prep for this, just because the Octopus Agave was only planted 2 years ago, actually 3 years ago. Plus they don't have a substantial root system. They're like an air plant, look a lot like an air plant too. So I don't really have to move anything around. I'm just going to be kind of careful working around the blooms here, and agave parasana here in the front, and a macrocantha back there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put my safety glasses on, especially working around the big Americana, get my gloves on, and this should come out pretty easily. It's not going to be planted today. I decided that I am going to put this in a container of water and let it soak for a little bit. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The leaves are pretty fragile on the Octopus Agave, so I want to be as careful as I can. Just going to take my time. It's always about patience. It's in here a little more than I expected. Having a hard time kind of getting my shovel under it. I think I got it. Yep. Okay. Rake that dirt back in. There we go. Yeah, all right. Let's go get this into some water. All right, so I already put some water in this little container here. I'll pull it out just a little bit here. And not a lot going on with the root ball. As I was saying, they're quite small. Yeah, this one, we're just gonna let it sit in the water for a few days and then let it soak some of that water up and make it a little bit little easier for it to make the relocation a little less stressful for the plant. So yeah, I guess next thing we are going to do, actually I'm going to wait to do this after we get some rains, just so that the soil is a little bit easier to work with. We're going to pick our spot on the side of the house, and we are going to cut a hole in the landscape fabric and plant our Octopus Agave. So yeah, we'll do that next. So we've had a little break in the weather today. So yesterday we pulled out this Octopus Agave, and yesterday before it started raining last night, I went ahead and amended the soil. This was, a lot of this was an area that I haven't done anything with. So there was a lot of sand and construction debris from when they built the house. So I kind of pulled all that out, imported some better dirt, because I plan on building this up as well. And I want it kind of like what I have behind me. Areas where there's kind of where the succulents are, and I've got a whole bunch of succulents and tons that I can propagate from these behind me. So I plan to kind of do the same thing around in this area as well. So I had some landscape fabric in here that I already pulled out. I had the landscape fabric in here because I had a lot of plants in pots right here, and I no longer have those. So I pulled those out, ripped up the landscape fabric, and amended the soil quite a bit. So I used the yard rod that I have and broke up the soil, and then I come in here with a hose and break it up a little bit more, and then take my hoe, kind of work it all up, and then import some organic soil, and just to mix in here with a lot of the gravel that I already had around. So I think the soil is pretty good now, and we are ready to plant this beauty. This isn't variegated, so it's not like we have to really worry about kind of the viewing angle, because this is the path here behind me. So we want to be able to kind of have the best side of this plant as we're walking down the trail here and walking this way, but it's all pretty much the same on all sides. So we'll just go ahead and stick this in. And I've already got some soil right here in the foreground. I'm not sure if you can see that right now, but got the soil ready, and I dug a hole and then I put in some better soil already to kind of amend around the edges. And how I dug the hole is, our soil is hard as concrete. It's mostly clay. So I took that out, and then I put a hose in there, loosen up the soil and break it up. And then more soil, more hose, until we've got a nice base to kind of work with. So we've got plenty of nice organics and coarse soil underneath where the plant is going to be, because we don't want a hard base and then our plant kind of sitting in that, because it's just if it's sitting in a bowl of like dug out clay, then it's just going to sit in water, and we don't want that. Even though this is a plant that can handle tons and tons of water, pretty much anything you throw at it. I still, don't like to do that, because I try to use as little water as I can, and I want to just amend the soil and have it as nice and coarse as possible, because there's going to be other succulents going in here too. So I want to make sure that all this is kind of treated the same. So we'll go ahead and stick this in the hole, and then I'm going to kind of walk around and see if we do have a viewing angle that is better than another. well, we've got some pest issues on this side. So maybe we'll just make sure that we're kind of facing this way. There, that's good. Okay. And before I made the hole, the final spot where it was going to be, I measured my mature specimens just to make sure it's not going to run into the house there, or my Hollywood juniper, or kind of the other stuff. So it's going to be less than, if you can see this back here, like that one that's underneath the Ceiba speciosa, and more like this, kind of surrounded by lots of succulents. So yeah, I like that spot. Now we'll just go ahead and add some of this dirt. And again, very coarse soil. We don't want this to be sitting in water. I'm just gonna put it on this side, and then come around this side, and then just move the plant over a little bit. But again, before I do that, just want to make sure it is in the spot we want it. Let me put some soil behind it here. This was soaking in that container of water for a little over a day, so a little over 24 hours. This is going to be really happy here. Okay, so let me just, oh, that's gonna be nice. Yeah, okay, so let's get this more secure. And again, we don't want the dirt to be setting in these leaves, so we gotta make sure that dirt comes out of there. All right, now I'm just gonna kind of remove some of the dirt around these leaves. And I wanted to get out here and do this because we just had a break in the weather, and I couldn't really get the camera out here and photograph because it was raining and it was just kind of windy and a little miserable. So sun came out for just a little bit, but we're getting more rain, so I wanted to hurry up and get this done. Okay, that looks great. Even though we are going to put more succulents in here, I don't know exactly when that'll be, so I do want, you know, some aesthetics to kind of return to this area a little bit, and this will work just fine. Okay. I have a whole pile back here, but this is when I think I'm going to leave this here because I want to use that pile when I have a little bit more of the succulents in here. A little bit more just for back here. Just to even everything out. Okay. All right. Well, now it's time for my favorite part. I know we're gonna get some rain here any second, but you know, I'm still gonna give it a little water just to kind of clean it up a little bit before the rains come. So this is my favorite part. It's My reward for a job well done. Just gonna give everything a little watering here. We had some rain, but not a lot. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those below and I will do my best to answer those. So today we talked about the Octopus Agave. It's one of my favorites. It's pretty cool. I really like them in the yard. As I've mentioned, they're pretty soft, they're pretty gentle, and they're pretty friendly to kind of have in a backyard space. So thanks again for tuning in. And remember, life is tough, but so are agaves. Stay sharp and keep growing. We'll see you next time. Thanks.